Hi, I'm Mark Jacksina, and this is Order Fire. Today I'm sitting down with my favorite couple, Joe and Katie Kindred of Kindred Restaurant here in Davidson, North Carolina. Joe and Katie are raising 3 beautiful young children, operating a successful restaurant, and getting ready to venture out into their second location. Along the way, they've managed to mentor some great people here, come up with some delicious milk bread, and also they've been recognized as one of the best new restaurants in the United States.
Joe Kindred, chef-owner of Kindred in Davidson, North Carolina, appreciates quality product, purveyor relationships, and connection with his customers. As the other half of the husband-wife duo behind Kindred, Katie Kindred wears many hats as owner, designer, sommelier, and general manager. After culinary school, Joe was the first intern at Nobles in Charlotte. He then worked in Chicago and San Francisco, but a desire to be closer to family eventually brought the duo back to Joe's hometown of Davidson. Joe was hired again by Chef Jim Noble to be the chef for Rooster's Uptown and lead culinary manager for Noble's 4 restaurants. Katie was hired right after moving back as general manager for Good Food on Montford, helping the restaurant to earn a James Beard Award nomination. All the while, they were saving up and planning to open their own restaurant, a place that could serve as a community keystone in Davidson. Their namesake restaurant, Kindred, housed in one of the city's most historic downtown buildings, was once the town pharmacy. With their dream finally coming to life, Joe utilizes his time and talents in the restaurant's basement kitchen, developing contemporary cuisine that leaves an indelible mark on the Charlotte area food scene.
Joe, good to see you, buddy.
Chef, how you doing?
Oh, don't call me chef. You're chef here, Katie. It's a pleasure as always.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for having us up here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
The way the clouds have already busted to make the beautiful light in here.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot to talk about, huh? You guys have been cranking. Like ever since I think you had the conversation with me outside of Halcyon, you were dragging a pig back.
Yeah,
You were probably already working on this, but not talking about it. You were sort of talking about it at that point.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And that was about 5 years ago.
Time ago.
Yeah, so we, it's been like a brainchild, I guess, for the better part of about 10 years. When we first met at the Pump Room in Chicago, we knew that we wanted to open a restaurant. We knew that we wanted to call it Kindred. We just didn't know where it was going to be.
And you're from this area, right?
Yeah, I grew up going to the daycare center right across the street at that church, and it's cool. It's great. We got the college across the town. We live, 3-4 minute walk from here, and so it's just great. We're able to like run home. We can manage the restaurant, but still like be able to get home for dinner or do like step out and go to gymnastics class, and we don't have to worry about the Charlotte to Davidson commute anymore, which is nice.
You end up back in small town after being out in Chicago, being out in San Francisco, and then working under Noble for 10-ish years.
6.
Yeah, off and on for 10 if you
Yeah.
count like my internship days. It was one of those things where I graduated from Johnson & Wales in Charleston, and I came back home.
I'm sorry, I'm going to chop. What year was that?
I was 01.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was 02. Graduated high school in 01 and graduated culinary school in 02. I did this advanced standing program where you tested into it. I did FCCLA, which is like Family Career Community Leaders of America. So we were able to do cooking competitions my junior and senior year in high school. And my senior year, we won this cooking competition. So I almost got like a full ride to Johnson & Wales. So I went ahead and tested into this program, and I could get in and out in 11 months. And I wasn't, for me, like it wasn't about going to college and doing the whole like party thing. Like I wanted to learn, like I wanted to get back in the field. And every chef that I worked for was like, listen, you're gonna learn some stuff in culinary school, but you kind of need to get that piece of paper and then get your ass back into a fucking kitchen and really learn the deal. So by the time I was 19, I had my degree, and it was like off to the races just to try and be the best I could be. So I did my internship for Chef Noble back in the day when Nobles of Charlotte was there. And he kind of took me under his wing and really showed me the ropes.
And and you met Katie at what point?
So I met her about 2.5-3 years later at the Pump Room in Chicago. So it was a good time.
How long were you in Chicago?
I was there for 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
So good time, and I met my better half there. So
You've done everything in the business. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So where did you? So you worked as you worked in the kitchen before. You bussed tables.
Yeah. So I
hosted,
started as a baker, I started as the AM baker for St. Louis Bread Company, which is now Panera, and that was a really glamorous job. So I had to be at work at like 4:30 in the morning and like bake croissants and bagels and all that kind of stuff for them, and that was kind of the worst. And I was like 14. And then after that, I wanted to learn how to be a barista. I was like, I want to be a barista. So I got a job at a cafe and was a barista, and then I got promoted as the manager. And in my 20s, I traveled a lot. That was kind of my MO. I was sort of a bit of a gypsy beatnik kind of gal. And so I would work somewhere for about a year, maybe 2, save all my money, and then buy a ticket and go somewhere and not know where I was going to stay, not know what I was going to do, but just go. And
I know more
travel
females that are willing to do that than guys.
I mean, it was really, like, in retrospect, looking back on it, I'm like, I was crazy.
Yeah. No, that's
like,
awesome.
I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I would get on a plane to Argentina and not even know where I was going to sleep that night.
And yet here you are, still alive.
And I made it.
Yeah, you're not dead.
Yeah. So I did that all throughout my 20s. I would work someplace and study and learn as much as I could and earn money and then go and travel. And
She can do anything. Like, we're having trouble like plating up a dish. We're like, all right, the flavor's good, and then like, you know, we'll all walk away and like go to the chef's table and talk about it, and then she's over there on Garmo, and we're like, what are you doing, babe? She's like, well, I think it looks pretty like this, and we're like, what the fuck? You know, like, jeez, babe.
So the design sensibility, where is it a natural thing? Did you go to school for it?
I'm just a nerd, and I get really into, like, we'll pick, with Kindred, it was the building. It used to be a pharmacy, right? Like, in its first life. And so I kind of just got obsessed with that and, like, really started, like, looking up historical pictures and historical records of, like, pharmacies and, like, the materials and the, you know, finishes and the
so when you were doing that,
typefaces, fonts, like, you know what I mean?
So when you're that exactly answers the question I was going to ask without even having it, because so you're really looking for all those cues visually that one would expect if they were to go back in time and walk into one and have it in here just deconstructed and reconstructed into a restaurant, so it all makes sense.
But also keeping it fresh, because you also don't want it to feel almost inauthentic, because it doesn't bring you back to reality. It doesn't bring you back to the now and make it fresh and current. So we tried to interweave as much as possible sort of modern colors, you know, like none of these colors you would have seen back then. So the color palette, and again, some of also like the fixtures and finishes, like it's just that mix of both, you know?
Right.
Like the herringbone wine wall.
Right, that obviously
yeah, you would never see something like that. But the materials, so the wood color and the brass accents, you would.
Cream greens 1, scallop 2, 65.
1, 2, 65. Joe, let's talk about the BFC.
So the BFC, also known as the Grande Pinche Cayeta. So the BFC stands for Big Fucking Cookie. And it's become like a really fun thing with our staff. We do every Saturday. We bring our entire staff up, kitchen staff and all, dishwashers, everybody who's in the building, and we give out the BFC. So the BFC is a chocolate chip cookie that is baked. It looks like about a pizza. I would say it's probably 10 to 12 inches. And it literally says BFC on it. And it's rewarded to like the staff member who is going above and beyond to whether or not we saw them blow off the patio when we didn't ask them to do it. We saw them pick up a piece of trash. They filled in and helped out in the dish pit. You know, they picked up an extra shift. So it was designed just to kind of make light and just really like reward the person that we feel like is doing well. There are times when we get busy and we forget about things and we're not as good of owners as we should be, but like we always want to make sure that like, you know, people know how much we appreciate it.
Mel, can you go shell 1, shell 2? 71.
Chip.
I'm gonna go Pockery, SP drop, describe the dish, 106.
SP 106.
Yeah.
So you are going into year 2 by springtime. You'll be in year 2.
February, yeah.
And restaurant number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is gonna be Kindred number 2. It's
Yeah.
gonna be uptown. It's gonna cost you $1 million a
Oh,
plate.
Lord. No.
Now, you did a good job of like, I hadn't really seen anything percolating on Facebook or social media, because you can usually tell.
Really quiet, yeah.
Yeah, you guys were really good about it, because he was like, yes, we got this going on. I'm like, didn't even see one coming. Usually you get a vibe off of people. You guys don't have it coming. So let's talk about it. You're doing a place called?
It's called Hello Sailor.
Why?
Well, it's on the water, and it's got 20, 19 boat slips. Something like that. So you can literally park your boat and walk up and eat, and then get back on your boat and hit the lake, which is very unique. I mean, there's nothing else like it around here. And I mean, honestly, we
won't find it uptown.
No, yeah.
Exactly.
We were looking for places in Charlotte, not in uptown, but we were looking for spots in Charlotte. We actually found a couple we really liked, but
Right.
When this came up, and it was totally not something we had our eye on at all, because there were occupants there. And, it was this unexpected kind of like reason why they left, and so it was like, well, we can't not throw our hat in the ring for this space. It's an amazing space, and they were crushing it, the people that were there before. So yeah, I mean, it was like us against like, you know, all these corporate restaurants and like people with all this money and backing. We're like, well, we're the locals and we're gonna do something fun with it and creative.
And the owners went with it for that part of the story?
I think it was a couple different reasons. You know, I couldn't say exactly what his motivation was to go with the little guy, which is basically what we were compared to some of our.
Yeah, well,
we saw who we were up against. We're like, oh, we're never gonna get this.
Well,
space
a space
now.
like that, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, God, I mean, to get that is awesome, because that's
Yeah, it
what I
was
said,
cool.
I'm like, what kind of
It's
backing
really
are you gonna
neat.
get for that or whatever, you know? And they're just like, if to have somebody who owns the
Yeah.
property are willing to let you guys over some of these larger corporations
Yeah,
that
man.
would definitely would want that space.
Yeah, they could have crushed it.
And it says a lot about that individual, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know who this person is, but I
Yeah,
like him.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he's
Because
a
they're willing to
regular
do it.
here. He comes into this restaurant a lot, into Kindred, and I think he just really he wanted something there that I think he liked the local thing, but I think more so, I think he wanted something there with some character and. You know what I mean? Like a really cool place that he could be proud of, which is his exact words. I mean, I'm sure he had lots of other reasons, but he's like, I just want something there that I can be really proud of. I'm like, okay, well, cool.
It was originally back in the day. This is like when I was probably between the ages like 6 and 11, when my parents were together. We lived, and Holiday Marina is one of, I think, like 3 places you can get gas on the lake, where like, as opposed to like throwing your boat on a trailer and taking it up to the gas station. So they opened a restaurant there called Jack's, and it was a barbecue joint / fish camp. And I have like vivid memories of like, you know, going up there and like taking hush puppies and throwing it to the carp and like,
Right.
you know, just fun stuff, and eating Jack's barbecue. And then it became, they got rid of Jack's, and then they opened a more formal restaurant called Harbor Lights. And that was there for 15 years, and then the Rusty Rudder took it over. Some of that story we may have butchered as far as timeline and whatnot, but, you know, from my memory, that works. But yeah, it was cool. Like, you know, like Katie said, we were like all about Charlotte, and then like this opportunity comes up via an email, and, you know, it turns out the owner knows my mom, and he comes in here all the time, and, you know, I mean, like, we beat out like, you know, people like Dale Earnhardt and like,
Yeah, that's, like,
who's
great.
the dude, Dennis Thompson, like, who owns like, I think he owns like all the Firebirds, or he's like,
Yeah.
you know, like he was like, I think he backed Shibeli first, you know, which, I mean, Dennis Thompson's awesome, Shibeli's awesome,
Sure.
obviously Dale Jr., great guys.
And this has nothing to do with them
Yeah,
personally.
you
This
know,
is
but
a
it was
matter of
just
what
like,
you're going
the
to
I
get.
was
fact
just
we were
like,
like, really?
holy shit, I could not believe we got the space, and then, you know, he kept like kind of getting back with us and reaching out to us, and we were like, I think this dude really wants us in there. So one thing led to the other, and we got a lease, and it's just been a lot of fun, you know. Like it's cool because they're in demo right now, and we walked in there the other day, and the mural from when it was Harbor Lights was up under like a
Like
layer
some trim or
of
something,
sheetrock
yeah,
or
yeah.
trim or something like that. And I was just like, holy shit, I remember that as a kid.
Yeah.
Are you going
know?
to keep it, or are you going to let it?
No,
I don't think so.
we're not. Yeah.
Again, not my department.
Yeah.
Katie Kindred, but
I'm in the rabbit hole and it's not included.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, if I
Yeah.
designed the restaurant, it'd look like a fucking Foo Fighters concert. So, you know.
That was-
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, we're having so much fun with it because this is like, you know, when we opened Kindred, or before we opened Kindred, I guess, when we thought we were going to open a restaurant called Kindred, but it was like nothing. We didn't know what it was going to be. We always kind of knew that we were building a company, like a business, not necessarily just Kindred the restaurant. So Kindred, we intentionally wanted this space and this place restaurant to be like the flagship.
Mhm.
We're like, we're going to build this as the flagship. We're not going to go in tiptoeing into a strip mall and like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going in hard. We're going to spend the money. We're going to do something that's going to make an impact, and that'll be our flagship. And then we'll do other things, and we want to just show our creativity. Like, we can do this, we can do that, we can do other things. So for us, it was like, we never thought, obviously, it was never in the plan to have like this restaurant on the water and have it be this fun kind of punchy place. But we're like, okay, I can feel that like fitting into the sort of as the next thing.
I'm curious to see where you're going to go with the design on this
It's gonna be
because
fun.
It's gonna be so fucking dope, dude.
I mean, when you told me the name of it, knowing that she had
Yeah.
like sort of what the conversation you had as far as like even with your coasters.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when you said it was Hello Sailor, where I was, I'm like, which way is she gonna go with this?
Well, I text Joe. I remember he was at the Y working out or something, and I was going through all this waterfront and like nautical kind of paraphernalia. You know what I mean? Like through Pinterest and just Google and everything, and just trying to get in that rabbit hole because I was like, I know Joe really wants this space, and like I'm gonna have to get like I gotta figure this out. I gotta get inspired. And I came across like all these old sailor tattoos, and one was Hello Sailor. I was like, boom, that's it. Like that's the name. And I texted to him with the picture of the tattoo, and he was like, I don't know, Katie, that's kind of. He was like, that's a little provocative. I'm like, no. Like back away from like the girl winking and the tattoo thing. Like, just look at the name. And he was like, okay, I can get behind that.
Will you utilize
So-
any of that tattoo artwork as part of the logo? or-
No. The logo will be a little bit different. We're still working on it.
Sure.
But it's
I'm not
gonna
asking
be
you
a
to give
little
it away,
bit
I'm just-
different. It's going to have more to do with the design aesthetic and less to do with that. But that was the sort of where the name came from. was
That's
the
awesome.
tattoo.
Yeah.
And so, we wanted something. You were like, if we're going to do something like that on the water, you know what I mean, with the tiki bar and the whole thing, because it's got a tiki bar already that was there. So we're inheriting the tiki bar. We're like, if it's gonna have a
What
tiki
restaurant
bar
doesn't
and it's
have
gonna
a
be
tiki
on the
bar?
water, like
I hate you.
it's gonna have to be fun, right? It's like
Yeah,
the whole
no
thing
doubt.
is gonna have to be fun and not take itself seriously and be lighthearted and like punchy and kind of.
This is not gonna be chefy.
Bucatini with guanciale, egg yolks, white miso, Calabrian chilies, ravioli, country ham, red-eye gravy, and parsley. That'll put some meat on your bones right there.
So 3 months into it, you start garnering national attention.
Yeah.
Who was it? So who was the first like?
So Julia Kramer, who's one of the restaurant editors for Bon Appetit, she came in here with a couple other gals that she works with, and that was,
It was
March?
early.
We opened in February. I
She's-
think they
is she-
came in late March.
Is she located locally, or how did she end up here?
No, we were just shocked that they came, but either way they did. They said they were on this tour of the South, and they started in Davidson. We're like, what? Okay, that's weird. You're starting a tour of the South in Davidson.
How did that feel? Like,
like-
how did that feel to find that out? Like 3
You know,
months into
really,
being
like
open,
it,
you
right out the gate. I worked at Quince in San Francisco, which you may or may not know, and like
For
that.
next one this year.
didn't-
So we are big on service and big on details and huge on stalking.
Details? You're big on details?
Yeah, I don't know if you pick that up. But we were big time stalkers, and I don't mean that in a weird way, but in like, somebody comes in, you do your research on your guests. So we would get the guest list in the beginning of the night, and what part of my job was like at 10 a.m. I'd show up, they'd hand me the list of I'd print the list out of who's coming in that day, and I start looking up each person in our database, in whatever I could find, and we just kind of gather as much information as possible. And we do the same thing here. So we had always done that since we opened, and it was something that I preached that I loved about Quince, because I think it's a totally free, totally easy way to learn about your guest in order to provide the most hospitality possible.
So you knew they were coming before they walked in?
Well, we knew her name, and we saw it on the list. She made it under her name, so we're like, okay, well, I think it was under her name.
Did you get a little butterfly?
Yeah, no doubt. Anytime somebody like that, we get focused. We're like, okay, we got to get, we got to crush this. Get
She
them
got
the best
focused.
table.
She got butterflies in you.
So yeah, and but we do that anytime anybody comes in that we know anything about, and that
Right.
could be somebody that's like, we know somebody's traveling from Michigan to visit Lowe's corporate, and we just try and go above and beyond. If we have information, we're going to use it. And that could be something as small as, somebody who's traveling from wherever, and the reason they're coming here is because they heard about us from whatever, and we're like, well, they have high expectations, we got to crush it. And then food writers, obviously, we're going to try and crush that too.
I still know why we were number 7. The fucking bowl was too hot, and our gnocchi sauce split, and 2 of the pastas had already gone out, and the fucking
We still regret that.
the butter sauce split, and I regret to this day sending that fucking plate out.
When you're at that point, and now it's out of your control, like what was your other option? Somebody go
Well,
fire on
it's
those.
like,
Yeah.
you don't sell all the plates,
And
or
then
you
it'd be
refire
12
the
to
gnocchi.
15
What do you
minutes
do?
to fire all those.
So, but they were already on their way up the stairs,
Yeah,
right?
they were already
So you'd have to
gone.
get a headhunter out there, fucking
Yeah.
tackle them on the stairs.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, it would have been an extra 15 minutes to refire all those pastas, and
What happens if it was 15 more minutes and you're at number 1, dude?
fucking bullshit. No, but I mean,
He's kidding. I mean, I obviously don't know that's
No,
why.
but this is how-
we were
but
like
that's
very
how I think. That's that fear.
focused.
People
yeah.
don't understand
You know?
how a chef's mind works
Yeah.
because you do. You look at it, you don't
Yeah.
always know when shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then sometimes
Yeah.
you're like, it's good, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know the minute you have to say that, it's not.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we do the same thing with service.
See, I
We're
remember
always,
that like it
all
was
over
yesterday.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
do
get
too.
therapy for
So-
this, man. You're gonna have to get
Yeah.
therapy and just let
I
it
mean,
go.
that's the last thing we're gonna complain about.
So it was like,
how
you
that
know,
all fell out.
yeah,
and that was great, but
I remember Andrew called me, Andrew Knowlton, and he was like,
Oh, you're on first name basis now with me. Andrew called me.
well,
well,
I've gotten to become,
we've actually
knock on
become
wood, kind of
friends
friends
with
with
him.
him.
Yeah,
He's a great dude, and he's been instrumental and like so influential into where we're at. I mean, like,
He's been
he's
amazing.
such
so-
a nice guy. I mean,
so
he really
blessed,
is. Just
like-
I don't know him
super
personally, but I just
duper
like
nice
the
guy.
I like the direction that things have gone since he's
Yeah.
been on staff.
I
Yeah.
agree.
and he called the restaurant, and our hostess hands me a piece of paper, you know, and how many messages do you get? Oh, so and so called, and so like they hand me this thing that says Andrew Knowlton. I had no fucking idea who it was.
Mhm.
So I'm like, it said Andrew Knowlton Bon Appetit. So I'm like, here you go, Katie. Do you know who this is? She's like, dude, come here. And I'm like, I don't know what I was doing. So I come and I sat down, and she's like, you have to call this guy back. I'm like, well, who is it? And like, she's like, I'm like, all right, whatever. So I get in my car, and I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna call him when I'm in the car. So I call him when I'm in the car, and I still to this day don't remember what I said to him. But he was like, listen, man, I'm gonna write a story about you and what you guys are doing. I think it's really cool. And then didn't really hear from him. Then he started like sending us texts. And then one night during the summer, he just rolled in here, like unbeknownst to us, didn't text me or anything, and just chilled at the bar and ate, like ordered everything on the menu. Never announced himself. Like we knew who it was, obvious, and I did not let any plates go out wrong.
So
that
wait,
night.
he asked
The
did you make
gnocchi
a
sauce was
reservation
not
or did you
broke.
just show up?
He just showed up.
No, he had a reservation. It was under his wife's name.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But
Did
they,
you
they
know
ended
that?
up sitting at the bar. Yeah.
Oh, you knew that ahead of time? You didn't tell me.
No, afterwards we.
Oh, okay.
We didn't know ahead of
That's
time.
what I'm saying,
'cause
so
I
he
didn't know
just-
I didn't know his wife's name at that point.
He
but,
rolled in, did
We knew
Wow,
what he
you
looked like
didn't-
though.
You didn't stop properly.
I know. I
did you?
guess
know,
I didn't
right?
do my homework, but we knew what he looked like. We had pictures and all that, and so when we walked in, couldn't miss him.
I mean, you can't miss him, bro.
Can't
He's
really
like,
miss him. He's a super
tall,
good-looking guy,
good-looking
tall,
dude.
looks like he's from Brooklyn.
Do you still
You'll
have-
see that in Davidson.
Do you still have the
Yeah.
slip of paper that says Bon Appetit code?
I think we do. Yeah, I think we do.
All right, so he shows up, he eats everything, no broken gnocchi sauces, you
no
say.
fucking
Yeah.
broken gnocchi sauce. No.
But you were cooking and you found out who it was, or not even until?
no,
like,
we knew. We knew.
Okay.
We
We
did
knew
two
he
of
was
every plate.
right in the beginning. Yeah.
Like when his order came in, like instead of ringing in one gnocchi, it was two gnocchi, and then we picked which one looked the best. Like I didn't want to make that
Tasted
same
everything.
mistake.
That's smart. So wait,
Um,
the kitchen staff didn't know, so they would each be.
Yeah, exactly. That was something I learned from Chef Craig from Delfina in San Francisco. Like,
That's a.
I mean,
tight
out
trick.
there, it's like, I mean, it's cutthroat out in San Francisco,
Right.
bro. I mean, you get, what's his name out there, the reviewer?
Michael
Bauer. Yeah, like Michael Bauer rolls in your restaurant, like you better fucking make two or three of everything, you know? And I think that, you know, I learned that from Chef. And so like, whenever they rang it in, it was like two of everything. And then we'd look at it, we'd find out which one was the prettiest and tasted best and send it out. And they would taste the same because it was, you know, the same dish. Yeah, we sent that out to them, and you know, the rest was kind of history. You know, they flew us up to New York and had us make the milk bread in their test kitchen. So we kind of knew something was going down, and you know, he would send me texts, and then like right before the article goes out, he'd send me all these, like, I don't know if he was like fucking with us or whatnot, but like sending us all these like texts and about like, hey, what's this picture, you know? And I'm like, I don't know, fucking fields of grain.
Yeah,
Remember
it
he
was
took
like,
the picture
yeah,
at like,
we had a picture.
but yeah, and then the article came out, and it was like,
Yeah.
like let's go, game time.
So we can't really talk about Kindred without talking about milk bread.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
I know you guys are
Yeah.
like fucking sick of it.
No, not at all. No,
Who's
not
ideal?
kidding.
I mean, it's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you know that. whose idea was it?
It's her idea.
It's true.
Was it the concept of milk bread itself, or was it the idea of something like milk bread?
It was kind of two different things, to be honest with you. It was, again, sort of how, it's sort of a good analogy for our relationship, because it was like Joe having these fond memories from when he was a kid of like warm yeast rolls at his
rolls,
favorite
like-
restaurant, like when they went out to this fancy place.
Remember
What was
Quincy's?
it called? Quincy's.
No, I wasn't in Charlotte. Though.
Oh, okay. So,
So,
Quincy's is
yeah.
like this old steakhouse.
Yeah, but I know the rolls that you're talking, like not Quincy specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so
yeast-
it's
like a
just
feather
like a
roll.
yeast roll
Yeah.
that you would bake, and then like my grandma would always make them around Thanksgiving or
Yeah.
Christmas, and they're just delicious, light, airy, but I think they're nostalgic to like us Southern folks. And then Katie was able to like kind of take that vision, and then she was like, well, she found this Japanese milk bread, and
Well, we
you know.
wanted to also, like from the hospitality perspective, have bread be the first thing that hits the table.
Sure.
So it's like this warm kind of welcome.
As a
like,
New Yorker,
so-
I mean, you don't have like bread on the table.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yeah, so we wanted to totally go against that and be like, okay, bring back the bread, because I think it's cool. Like when you walk
no, I'm
into
saying
a
bread on
place,
the table was the thing that like oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, my wife and kids are like, I'm like, stop, you're not gonna have any room for
Yeah,
what I'm buying.
right, yeah. Yeah, we wanted it to be like this sort of warm comfort thing, because we knew we were doing some kind of different for the area up here at the lake, and we're like, okay, we want to just kind of like disarm people right when they sit down. Like,
So here's some
boom,
Japanese
here's
milk
some
bread.
like really soft, well, but
we
it's
dropped
like
the Japanese. Like,
we
that
did.
kind
We
of
dropped that
flew
off.
people-
We
Did
told,
you- oh, did you
before
actually-
we opened, we just said milk bread, and that's
Yeah,
why
I was
people
gonna say, I
call it
didn't-
milk bread.
I didn't like
because
I
we're like,
never
that
saw-
might make folks uncomfortable.
Yeah, because
so,
I didn't see
yeah.
anybody pop it up, and when it first popped, I was familiar with them going to Japanese restaurants, and I'm
Yeah.
like, is that a Southern thing too? I'm unaware of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of spun it like
That's-
just in a different way because we wanted folks to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the third sort of aspect was the design aspect. I wanted that pop color on every table.
Oh, I bet.
I know that sounds so silly,
I
but
mean,
like,
that was
I
not a
found the
surprise.
bowl and I was like, I want to find a way to incorporate this enamel bowl somehow. And
fucking milk bread.
so the milk bread was born.
It's fucking milk bread.
Yeah. So now, it's a thing. But
I mean, it's
yeah.
not- it's
it
not
was
too-
all three of those things that kind of like came together. I literally woke up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock. It was one of those moments where
And
I woke
said-
him up.
wait,
I
and
said,
you said milk
"What if we
bread?
bake the bread in the bowl?" And he was like, "Oh my God, you're crazy."
Because we
Go back
knew
to
it would be
sleep.
like some sort of like yeast roll. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is, you taste it, so there's nothing fancy about it. It's our,
delicious,
it's
yeah.
one of the most versatile doughs too.
And we make donuts
Like
out
we
of
make
it.
donuts out of it. We make cinnamon rolls. We've, done shrimp roll buns. I mean, everything you could imagine. Like we've done with this dough. Fry it up, toss it with powdered sugar, call it a donut. It's just been. I mean, it's kind of. It's just been like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds,
Yeah.
I mean, it can take somebody that comes in here and feels like we hung the moon, and it can just take them back to a point when they were at their fiance's grandma's house and had this bread and how much it meant to their family, or it can take somebody back to like I mean, it's with food, what are we trying to do? We're trying to recreate memories and create memories, or bring back positive, fun things. And I think this is just it's almost like an extension of Katie and I's hand to reach out and kind of shake your hand and just be like, hey, welcome to our little thing. Have fun with it. Do what you want. Just relax.
Can you imagine what a failure this place could have potentially ended up if you had done like a basket with some rolls on there? You laugh, but I'm thinking about it, right? 'Cause-
Seriously, no. I mean,
And I know
yeah.
you as I know, so I have a feeling that you would get what I'm about to say. So like if you had done that, it'd have been very impersonal. They'd probably be very
Yeah.
good rolls. To me,
Yeah.
this is what you
You're
guys.
literally breaking bread.
Breaking bread,
every time you
yeah.
sit down here. Every time.
So now alongside this, we got some of these pickles that we've been snacking
been-
on.
We've had demolished them,
Devastating.
but yeah.
So these are on the menu as grandfather's pickles. My grandfather was very influential in my life. We would always have dinner at my grandma's house, whether it was Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, and my grandfather would always, be involved in the cooking, and he was very much like a "you're gonna eat it and you're gonna like it" type guy, And this was always one of the first things we would do is we would go to the market, down there. There's all those little farm stands, and he would get cucumbers, white onions, and we always had cider vinegar, salt, and it's really simple. It's just cucumbers, white onion, cider vinegar, salt, a little bit of water, and I throw in Calabrian chilies just because I think it gives it kind of like it adds my own little personal touch. But they're not cooked; they're just quick pickles, really simple, and it's just a fun little. Most people start out their meal with this after the milk bread. It's a nice like acidic, so it kind of like clears your palate, gets you fired up, gets any weird like, stuff out. And yeah, man, that's it. That's the
You say
story.
weird stuff, you mean like demons or just taste?
Yeah, just like weird taste. You know what I'm saying? So
I just love the way you put that. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, and the liquid from it has like, fueled some pretty wicked staff meals from like pickle brine fried chicken to, brining all sorts of fun stuff.
Mhm.
And we always reuse the liquid, and it's kind of created like this mother, if you will. And so they're not always the same,
Right.
but I think
They're
like
not supposed to
that
be.
creates the grandfather's pickles.
Mhm. It's amazing the power of food.
That's it though, right?
Yeah,
That's
it is.
it. It's everything.
So, it's, I mean, you're saying earlier about how it does. I mean, it doesn't matter what we do. As far as like this really doesn't. It's inconsequential,
I mean,
you know.
it's dust at the end of the day. At the end of it all, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's
But
not-
I mean, that's
it's
where the
not what
legacy
matters.
is, right?
Yeah.
These little books
People
and
and
grandpa's
this
pickles
and
and
your
shit.
kids and people who work for you, the lifelong friendships you make. I mean, that's all you're gonna have at the end of all this, and this is all gonna be
Yep.
obsolete in probably 15 years, 20 years, whatever. Hopefully.
You say hopefully?
I hope we last 20 years.
Oh, I
Be a
got you.
blessing.
First I
No,
thought
I
you
mean-
said won't last that long. And
No.
hopefully, I'm like, what?
No, I mean, you know what I mean. It's just none of that. Yeah, all that goes away. It's everything else that matters. So.
Indeed. I think this is a good place to finish the conversation, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
cool, man.
for
Thanks for
hanging
coming up.
with us.
Thanks
Hanging
for
with
having
us,
us,
dude.
man, and
Yeah.
feeding us milk bread and pickles
Yeah, for sure.
We're good
man.
for anything. It's milk, bread, and pickles, and beer.
and beer.
Yeah. And drinks too, cocktails.
Always that. Joe, pleasure,
Thanks,
my brother.
Yeah, good chatting with
Okay.
you, man.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you guys so much
Yeah,
for everything.
thank you.
Yeah,
Our
it's a
pleasure.
good time, man.
Now we got to look at the camera.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you. This is great. So fun.
All right.